Hello, it's going great. I'm just getting my audio shit set up. You're like, is he gonna talk first? Should I talk first?
I love this echo I have in your stream right now. Let's go mute that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once is more than enough. Don't need two of these. So you got lucky that someone dipped out. You're able to take their spot.
Yeah, I was surprised you could get to it this fast. It's great.
Yeah, I had like a whole week booked up, but someone had to reschedule. So
That's tough. Like, you ready tomorrow? Yeah, okay. Let me take my screenshots.
yeah, let me start clicking. Okay, let me boost you a little bit. Hello, hello. Audio check.
Check, check.
Check, check. All right.
Got it.
Can you be a little bit louder? Is there
I'll
any
scream for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But how close are you to your microphone, like your input?
I can probably turn up a little bit. Is this okay?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay, cool. All right. Yes. And then this. And then boom. And we're off.
All right.
Mr. Shade. Oh man, this is like looking in low definition. Screenshots come out a little bit blurry, but it's okay. We can read it. It's like going back in time with those 360 and 480p YouTube videos, you know?
Oh yeah.
Where you select high quality and it's like there's like 10 pixels on the screen until
Yeah, I was like, what is this screenshot? This is ridiculous. Oh well, this is what I can do on short notice, I guess.
Yeah, no, this is as long as I can. I'm pretty sure that's an 86 for ignore defense. Yeah, okay, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Some numbers can get a little bit crunched together, but wait, what if I do? Nah, that probably won't.
Zoom in so there's more pixels. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do like enhance and then no, it's okay. Zoom in. Okay, so you left a message in the Discord as well. Your goal is to solo Damien and Lotus. Cleared Chaos Chicken on a second try solo. Nice. I think you should be able to do 3-door CRA as is. If you can do Chicken, the other two should be very close by. Yeah, Vellum is not necessarily as close because because of the IED and you're just having a decent amount of extra. Well, ID and a higher level and all that stuff. And just
Yeah, definitely.
mechanics, more HP. If you specific question,
So-
look to yeah.
I think this first shot is unbuffed. The next one might be actually buff stats for you. Not sure if that makes a difference or not, but
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, look at that low definition. It's great.
Oh, don't save. Open. Oh yeah, hell yeah! Look at that. Working with this. Okay, and then these buffs is that somewhat 100% uptime buffs? That's with some.
Yeah, that's with like the move around and the a couple of the other ones. And if you keep attacking, you get that buff that stacks up. So it's like the percent damage buffs as well.
That's this one, right? Next to the Echo, that one stays with the extra livers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then these 3 are temporary.
Yeah.
And with these 4, I guess. This one as well.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And then the other ones, yeah, okay. But that's mostly skill effects, right? That trigger, and the other one is a reset.
Yeah.
This one gives percent damage. What does this one give when you activate it? What is this, Fox Spirit or something? Oh god, my shade knowledge is somewhere deep behind my skull. The
Removes debuffs, nullifies incoming damage. No worries. I smashed all my buttons.
Yeah, okay.
I said he wants buff. Let's press him.
Yeah. Yeah, I see some effects going on. Even your skills are like, let's go.
Yeah. That's when you're spamming all your buttons and the print screen button at the same time. It's great.
Yeah. Looks good. Okay, so you end up with this. Yeah, you have any questions off the bat?
Yeah. So I guess backstory is I used to play way back when I was a little kid, and the game was very different, and that was fun, and stopped and picked it up on a new account. Before Flames came out, and so I had some struggles there. I had a pretty hard wall at like 160, 170, somewhere in that range, just not knowing anything. And said I'm gonna make every character to 140. So that's why I have like a decent, I guess, Legion bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to this class recently because I enjoyed this as my main. Picked up a couple items, like I got a Dominator pendant, and said, hey, I wonder how strong I am. That's when I walked into Chaos Chicken and walked in and killed him and said, oh, okay, this is plenty manageable. So I think just a couple tries on the other, at least for 3-door, should be manageable where it is. And I want to know what your thoughts there, because I had plenty of time on Chaos Chicken as well.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to like manage the timers and everything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I took them over to the ones that increased it up to 10 minutes a few times, but I didn't have to like.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you ended with like 30 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's 5 or 6 minutes left. It wasn't.
Yeah, okay.
It was fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess the difficulty will be with Clown, right? Because you don't have everything you have is multi-target, basically.
Exactly. That was my big issue. That was the first boss I was trying, and that's I think why I was struggling so hard. Was I get him down to he splits, and then I just struggle for a little while and ran out of time, and just said, okay, no, let's make other characters for now. It's fine. I can just die and die a couple times, buff up, bind, go.
Yeah. That is, yeah, that's one way to do it. Because your bind will bind both, right? On top.
Yeah.
And then you can split, and that new 4th V is probably quite nice if they're nice and bunched together. It's
so strong. It's so I was playing for a little while without it, and I got to like 218, and I was like, okay, I'll spend the 50 mil or whatever to get the next one. Turned it on and said, oh wow, this is
should have done this.
This is worth it. What was I doing?
Yeah.
The other thing was I was running Holy Symbol trying to boss, not realizing I could get extra crit rate, crit damage, what have you. I was like, this was so stupid. So there's little things like that were pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the beginning when you're kind of struggling for the slots in the Matrix, and it's a bit you're already trying to puzzle getting the best value out of the slots, and then you switch something out. You can be like, okay, this was a good switch, or something else was a bad switch, but you
can tell it's night and day difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's like a short burst and then a bunch of like fireballs floating around.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Those Fox Spirit skills pop out and just kill them.
So does the boss ever like disappear and then all the balls don't get a target and also disappear, or they linger around long enough to still target?
I don't know. I typically have only been using it during a bind.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
so
and the cooldown is pretty short now, right?
Yeah, it's like a second or just over a second. And
Okay.
It's I think it reduces incoming percent HP damage by 50% as well.
It's
so
also panic survivability button as well.
Yeah. I was on Golix and I pressed the wrong button because my my iframe is right next to that button, and was like, oh, I'm not dead. Okay, that worked out. Why did that work?
Yeah, so what we say is like like, oh man, how do you translate this? Take a look. So like you got lucky by being unlucky. You ended up failing, failing successfully, kind of thing. Yeah.
Task failed successfully.
Yeah, exactly. Like the meme. Yeah.
Awesome.
Basically that.
So I know I have a couple specific questions. So we can start there and then just go through one at a time, maybe through your normal stuff. One is
one question could probably lead us to like a topic, and then we can explore the topic completely and then move on to the next, something like that.
Okay, that sounds good. My big question is I don't understand flames very well, and I don't understand what a flame advantage versus non-advantage is. Any help there would be it'd go a long way, because I get something like 40 strength on it, or hopefully that plus some percent all stat, and just say, okay, this is probably good enough.
Yeah, and that's what you eventually end up with, but you want to know the underlying like limitations and numbers and qualities and that kind of stuff, so that you have a reason to feel like it's good or bad, rather than this is a number that seems good.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this. And there's this. Okay. So I have a whole video about it. It's like 12 minutes. If I try to crystallize the important stuff, so whether something has flame advantage or not, that's just inherently connected to the name of the item. So it's not like some penciler gear will have flame advantage and some won't or something. It's just like penciler is never flame advantage, period.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense because I did not understand that. I was like, how do I know if I get a drop and it's flame advantage?
Yeah, in the beginning I was
idea.
like, oh, you just look at the item, and then as I was writing the guide, I was thinking, I'm writing it through, and like, what if I come from a different game and I think flame advantage is just a sort of like a quality that any item can have or not have. Like, how do you ever know? So there's also this list. It's also linked underneath the video. And these are just all the names of all the items that have flame advantage. So if the item is not on this list, it won't have it. So you can just Control F for any kind of item, and if you don't find it, it doesn't have flame advantage.
Awesome, great. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing, and this will help you kind of identify items, and so you don't even have to look them up. The other thing that's very important is this. And this will, at first, look a little bit like it's Greek or something, but it'll make sense. So normal equips is what they call just item without flame advantage, and then flame advantage items. And then there's a special class of elite boss equips. It's kind of niche. They just mention it here for completion's sake.
Okay.
So do you know about the tiers of flames? Do you know how that works?
Yeah, so I typically use your guide that's an exclamation point flames, and I know it'll tell you if it's it's a level 140 item and you have this much strength on it. This is going to be, or at least for weapon, it's going to be this tier is this much attack. So
yeah,
I get that.
So what's connected to it is this.
Okay. Oh, this is a full grid of it. Okay.
Yeah, but this exists for like every stat. And then also for the combination stats, because there's, for example, you can have, every line can appear up to once, and you can have an amount of, so we call them lines, but for example, one line could be strength increase, one line could be dex increase, and then your third line could be strength plus dex increase, for example. But then all of those, those numbers will like bunch together and will be totaled, and then you will have like a really weird number. And because it's really weird for people to be like, oh yeah, okay, so I have tier 3 strength and dex, and tier 5 dex, and tier 4 strength, so how good is that roughly? So because that's like too much work, and you don't really need to do all of this work, that's why we just do the flame score. We have like a guide of how much flame score do you want to go towards, and then you don't have to try to puzzle all this together. If you want to, you can, and then you can figure out exactly what your rolls are. But so what's important to know is like tier 1 is the lowest, tier 7 is the possible highest. And then if you circle back to this grid, you already have a lot of extra information here. So if you are, if you have flame advantage, which is, all of the higher level equips that drop from the bosses, like all of the Absolab stuff, all of the arcane stuff, you will always have 4 lines of stats that are being applied. Always 4.
Okay.
If it's a non-flame advantage item, it'll have 1 through 4. And especially, apparently, Meister crafting fusing is 2 through 4. So there's a few exceptions. So that means if you find anything that has only 1, 2, or 3 lines, but again, it can be 3 lines of stat, but they can be combined together and actually be 4, right? So in the beginning, you kind of have to get a feeling for it. But if the item is quite high level, but the numbers are all really slow, even if there are a bunch of numbers, it's probably still not flame advantage. It's just like a lucky amount roll, because rather than there only being 1 to 4 lines, so way more variance, the tier range, if you find it, or if it's rolled with a powerful, is tier 1 through 4.
Okay.
So the highest possible outcome is a little bit higher than the lowest possible outcome on a flame advantage, but this one is 3 through 6. It's 2 extra tiers higher. And then for an eternal, an eternal is just 1 tier higher on the lower end and on the upper end. It's just shifted upward by 1. So same here. So if someone is like, I'm going for tiers, if you hear anyone say like, oh, I got a tier 7 attack, either they used an eternal flame on a flame advantage item, or they got lucky with a drop.
Okay.
And then nothing else, nothing else can even get a 6, right? If anything has a tier 6 or 7 on it, you already immediately know it's a flame advantage item. If it has less than 4 lines, or the numbers are very low on a high level item, you also know immediately it's not a flame advantage item. And then for everything else where you're doubting, you can check the list with items.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll use the list to start until I have a better understanding, or at least it's in my brain instead of having to reference a chart every time.
Yeah, so that's why you've seen the progression grid, right?
Yes.
So that's why in there I make a distinction between the flame advantage and the flame disadvantage, because if you put the same, because what you're aiming for with flame advantage items is at least like tier 4 or 5 on a bunch of things, and that would be like borderline impossible to get with the amount of variance you have here. It's just there would be an insane amount of money. Yeah, but if you see someone with like a Gollux equipped, so Gollux for example is all normal equipped, no flame advantage, but that one has like 60 or 70 flame score or something, you know that's an insanely lucky roll.
Okay.
But if you have 70 on an Abzo, then you're like, I mean, that's okay for when you get fresh new Abzo, but eventually you want to get like 100, 110
right.
before you're like really done with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That way you can, you need to get another one to maximize when you're stuck with that gear. You have more potential.
Yeah, and instead of looking at, okay, this one has 30 flame and this other one has 40, so that means the 30 is worse. Instead you look at, well, this one has 30, but realistically you're aiming for 35, and the other one has 40, but realistically you're aiming for 60. Well, that means that the 40 is actually the worst one, right? Because that one has more to gain to get to where you want it to be.
Right, exactly.
So that helps you prioritize what do you flame at what point. And also, what is the potential gain? Because it's like, oh, this is my worst flame, but what I'm aiming for is like 2 flame score higher. Do I want to invest flames? Do I want to risk this? Or am I like, I'm good on this, I'm going to, put that off until later?
That's been my issue keeping me from flaming, is I kind of just look at it and say, I don't know where this sits in terms of if it's good enough or not. So I'm just going to, I got 40 or 50, whatever. That's good enough. I'll stop rolling this.
Yeah, there's like a completely different approach that I could take to grading, and that could be like, this is the highest theoretical possible outcome flame score for every level equip, and then say this is the percentage of the possible outcome you would want to get to in every different stage of the game, for example. That could be a different approach. It's a completely different visualization where you're like, okay, here you want like 50% of your capacity, here you want 60%, and then eventually you want to go to 75% of your capacity or something. Because that last 25% is just like theoretically possible, but maybe 3 people in the whole game are going to roll anything in there. So
never worth it.
Yeah, I've seen some people with crazy flames, like 140 or something on an Abzo.
Oh my gosh.
And then be like, okay, that's better than most people's arcanes, or that they even aim for endgame. But yeah, that's like a handful of rolls that are going to exist, and everyone else is just going to dream about that, basically.
Yeah, we'll just be jealous.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Okay, so that takes care of that question and flaming in general.
Yep, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I guess I don't know how important this is, but I don't deal with familiars very much. I just saw you play with that 2 minutes ago on stream, and was thoroughly confused. I just saw you had a familiar guide as well, so I can take time to walk through that later. But if you have any, quick off-the-cuff advice that probably won't take you too long, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I fucked up a little bit because I got the Papa Pixie, which is more of a rare familiar, and I accidentally used it on a character that already had it, which is, I'm not trying to min-max it, so it's not that bad, but ideally don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's two major things. So there's the familiars themselves and the stats they give. Hang on, this guy's asking for it. Okay. So there's the badges, and then there's the actual familiars that you summon, right?
Okay.
The badges is pretty tame what they do, and they stack only up to very low. I think you get like 2% attack, 2% crit rate, and up to 3 lines of 3% IED. I think that's almost like the best possible setup, I think. Something.
Okay.
So it's very minute. It's very min-maxy. If you can get those instead of something else, it's a gain. But yeah, don't go too hard on that early on. Excuse me. That could be something that you min-max later on. So if you check the list,
Right.
you can see all of the possible badge sets, and you can see which ones are achievable and which ones are not. Ideally, you go for the sets that don't have... so the reason you get the badges, sorry, is because you start with one set. With one familiar unlocked. And then if you get one badge completed, then you can you get a quest for your second. And if you want to get the third slot, you have to get 10 badges unlocked, and that takes a little bit more work.
Okay.
So to unlock a badge, you just have to have all of the individual familiars in the badge. When you have them in your inventory, you double click and they go into your collection, and then they will also count for the badge. So if you have all of the familiars, if you put them in your familiar inventory at any given point, it just gets saved, so you don't have to like actively hold on to all of them or anything. Then it'll just, when they all light up, it'll light up here, and then it'll light up here, and then you can equip it, and you can equip up to 8 of them with their teeny tiny little buffs squished together. Well, maybe, yeah. So that's the one side. So you need those to equip more familiars. And then once you have the familiars, basically early on you just reveal everything you get, and you try to aim. The biggest value that you can get is in 15% IED lines, which can exist in both. Which is actually really good. Comparatively, because all the other stuff is like 2 strength, 1% damage, 10 MP.
Oh, that's what I have. 2% strength, and I was excited to open up like my third one and was like, I'm done. I'm not using familiars anymore.
Yeah. 2% stat is like probably after. So the main thing is the utility. So 15% IED lines, that's really good. And then there are small amounts of healing that can be useful in certain boss fights, and small amounts of drop rate if you don't have that yet. Those are like the only 3 things that you can really gain from the lower level familiars.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the only thing you worry about until you get to Moonbridge or above. Maybe Celis will have familiars in the future. They're still like checking where they want to add familiars. I think they specifically don't add them to the lower level Vanishing Journey, Arcane River areas, because they want people to level up and to move along and not get too much value in every single area, but they want to add some value to the higher level areas, I think. Once if you get there and you start training there, because I think Limina is really good for shades if you do get to 255, and then you can start working with fusion, and then fusion is basically you can only fuse the same familiars. So like I have all of these locked, so they won't show up, right? So you don't accidentally fuse them. So if you want to lock them, you just click them, and then you click this little lock here, and then they won't accidentally show up for extraction or for fusion.
Nice, good quality of life there.
Yeah, that's... Well, in the beginning there was a problem where sometimes you locked them and then they got unlocked randomly, so that's why they had to kind of... Or when you had the badges and you got a familiar and then it lit up, and then you relog the next day and then they weren't lit up anymore, even though they were like still in your inventory, and then they were not in the badge anymore. So that was... Yeah, that's when they...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's when they took the whole system offline again for a few weeks and then circled back later. Yeah.
That makes sense. I wondered about that.
Yeah. So what you can do then is you can level them up, and there's information about the numbers, like how many points is one card worth, and how high do you want to get it, and what is the chance of failure and everything. But basically it comes down to 2 things. If you want to fuse, so you have to get the same familiars and then fuse them together. Wait, I can just like unclick one and then it'll show up, and then you can see what it looks like. You see, yeah, now he's here, and then if you click him, he shows up here, and then it shows like so this gives me 3 points. You can see that. I think it's 1 for common, 2 for whatever, 2 for rare, 3 for epic, something like that. But of course you can already tell like epic is going to be very hard to get, and if a rare, which is way more easy to get, is 2/3 of this, then it's like never worth to fuse epics, for example.
Right.
Like that value is never worth it. You just take 2 rares and it's like more points already. And then you click fuse, and then the bar will go up. So you have to get the bar all the way up here to 150, and you have to get and you have to level up the familiar, and you level up the familiar by killing monsters near your level while having the familiar selected in your setup and summoned. So you have to boom, and then if I kill monsters near my level, they will gain experience and then level up. So if max fused, max level, then you can attempt. If it fails, it goes back to half fused, so you have to fuse more. And then if it ranks up, you can reveal it. And then if it's shit, you can choose to go up again to unique, to get into the higher tiers. And if that one is bad, then you just hold on to it in case there's ever red cards. Red cards are like the reroll cubes, basically, for familiars. That are, of course, for sale in non-reboot for real money, but not available in non-reboot in reboot. So sometimes there's compensation that holds a few red cards, so hold on to them for sure. And yeah, you're going to be like getting hundreds and thousands of familiars once you start training in those areas, so you'll just be fusing up a bunch of them. What you're aiming for then is basically the same things, just higher quality of healing, higher quality of drop rate. And you can check exclamation mark drop rate specifically, or if you check the familiar guide at the end, there's also a list of all the possible outcomes. And I believe they have the percentages for all of the drop rate lines as well, as to which % equivalent drop rate it is. Because when you're stacking familiars, it's always the highest percentage that applies when it comes to drop rate. So if you have multiple ones with drop and with meso drop, it's only the highest number that will be in effect.
Oh.
So you don't have to, yeah, you can't like stack them. It's like the strongest might is right basically on the familiars.
Okay.
But when it comes to like ID and
drop,
yeah, exactly. And when it comes to ID and boss damage, those do stack. So there you want multiple, and then boss damage will start coming into play for epic and unique, but not for the lower ones.
Okay.
So that's the extra, yeah, the extra thing that you'll be looking for later on.
Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I did mention, so if you extract in the beginning, if you open all of them, and let's say you get your 15% ID ones and you have a bunch more, you can extract and get the booster pack. That's probably what you saw me do.
Yeah.
And then you get 3 randos, and then sometimes let's say that you're still struggling with the badges, but you from a booster pack you happen to get so typically you do the badges that just have regular monsters and no bosses in them. Those are the easiest ones, or the ones you have to probably do a few that have bosses, but some bosses are very easy. You could do infinite amount of them, and you just you get like a drop coupon and you just go crazy for an hour or two and then see if you get it or not. But some don't drop at all, like the Seraph, for example, from Aqua. That one doesn't drop at all, but all the other ones are super easy. So if you can get a Seraph from a booster pack, you can just immediately clean the whole thing. Or if you can get the Papulatus to drop from Papulatus, then you're completely done immediately. So those are nice ones. If you get that from a booster pack, that could be cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting way to go about finishing off the badges.
Yeah, and they can go up to, there's also a small chance for epic straight from the booster packs as well, which can be nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yep. So that's familiars basically. All the details with all the numbers and all the possible outcomes and all that stuff is all in the guide. And the costs and all that stuff. And defense. Okay. Oh yeah, defense for the summon gauge is the last thing. So the more defense all of your familiars have combined, the slower the summon gauge will deplete. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
So the more defense all of your familiars have combined, the slower you will lose summon gauge. So the longer you can have them out without running out. If you ever run out, then you can buy this item, the familiar essence, and it'll replenish 50% of your gauge. So I think normally, I think it's about, oh god, am I high? Is it about 4 hours, guys? If you have, how much defense do I have? I have 18. I think that keeps my gauge up about, oh no, 2 hours, 2 hours. I think, more like 2 hours. So if you're doing like long sessions or a lot of mobbing or bossing, then you might have to buy a few extra. So if you just have like 1 drop rate, then you still want to add more familiars, because that will make the summon gauge go down slower.
Okay. Does it replenish over time ever?
Yeah, at reset it completely refreshes. Okay,
perfect.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Okay.
I have 2 missing gear slots.
Yes.
An android and a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to get either of those.
So, since recently they've been adding Android coupons to event shops, and there is one now. So if you go to the event shop, you will see there's like a separate... There's basically like a fashion story shop every time now. Where you just have cosmetics. And that's where stuff like Android, damaged skins, chairs, those kind of things are. The decoration shop is what it's called now.
Yeah.
So you have tickets for them here. Rock Spirit Roid coupon, that one. And if it says, you see on the right side, it says double click to receive the Rock Spirit Roid and a permanent Lithium Heart. So that's the only way that you can get any kind of permanent heart. However, the Lithium Heart is level 30, so even if you get it to Legendary, the best potential outcome is like 633. And it is relatively expensive to get it to that point for only, a possible gain of 12% stat. It's quite spicy. So most of the time we're looking out for very special events that will have something like a Fairy Heart, which is level 100, or for the Wondroid event, which has a level 120 heart, which is this one that I have. Because it's also permanent, but because of the higher tier, it goes up to 1299, so it's way more. So if all your stuff is kind of like maxed out, but all of your stuff is kind of like upgraded, where a bigger upgrade would be very, very expensive, then you can min-max and equip the heart. You can probably go for one now, and you can very easily get like 2 or 3% stat from it, but you're not really going to commit to it hardcore until all the other stuff is already, way more up to speed, because the possible gains from the other stuff is going to be way higher than from the heart.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not rolling red cubes on a level 30 item. No way.
Exactly. Yeah. There is the added value that most Androids now have a shop function, which can be useful in some scenarios, but it's more one of those things that you find very useful once you have it, and then you find more uses for it rather than you really need it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people say that it's very useful to always have a knife on you, because then you can, you can use it a lot. But if you don't have a knife, you're fine too. You just find something else to use. Like, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So once you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? That kind of thing. Yeah. So if Wondroid gets announced, that's when you gotta like put your feelers out, and like the ears gotta like stand up. They're like, oh, that was the thing. Or a Fairy Heart, if you hear that. There was going to be a Fairy Heart, I think, in this shop, in this event, but they said for some reason there was a technical issue and they couldn't put it in or something, but nobody's buying that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, nobody's... but it was going to be one, it was going to be one per account or something, but... it took me 12 bill for 8% stat on your heart. Yeah, that's not. Let's not do that.
That feels like my luck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People still play this game? Yes. Actually, more than ever. We are peaking again. We are all-time high-ing Snowflakes.
Getting that 1 mil?
Yep. We got 1 mil views, and well, not quite 1 mil players, but we're working our way up. Yeah. So if you can get the damn, what's it called again? I already forgot the name again. The
Heart? Lithium Heart?
Lithium Heart, yeah. Permanent Lithium Heart. All the other hearts that are possible to get right now is just like crafting and then temporary. That's all totally not worth. So most of the time I just say forget about that slot until you see Wondroid pop up, basically.
Okay. Cool, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So this character was a Terra Burn that I did not clear CRA with, so I had to quickly find some Pencilier at the end of the 3 months or whatever it was to try to put something together to be able to kill it. So hopefully these are I don't know, they're not great, but at least I can kill one door. I'm sure I can do the other two or get pretty close now.
So you burned it last summer and then now came back and wanted to earn your gear without it?
I got frustrated because I had trouble. I didn't fill up all my slots. I didn't really level up my charm to get a pocket slot. I didn't. I had like 3 rings. I basically didn't do enough. Didn't know what to do to progress. And that's where finding your stream was fun to be able to see. It displays a couple mechanisms as to how to improve and progress. And so that's where I got on this guy. He's the one who I enjoy the most, and said, okay, let's move towards some of these goals, and slowly started moving towards some of the, you look at progression and you get some of those certain stat points that you're looking for, and you move through it, and pretty quickly I could just come up and kill some of the bosses I never could. And it was literally this week I just got back on this guy other than just doing some dailies, and said, okay, let's try Chaos Pink Bean for fun, and just like one-shot it in practice. It was like, wait a minute, I need to actually play this and try the bosses again instead of just grinding Legion forever.
Well, you probably did a lot of progress by working on your Legion as well. But if you don't check every now and then that's the kind of the way I like doing it as well. Is only like making huge upgrades if you need to, because then when you do, you feel that huge difference, and it really feels like you get your money's worth. And it's also financially more, just more efficient than making a lot of small upgrades. Because then you feel it less, and it is also lower financial efficiency. And you kind of pamper yourself with always being very strong, and then the challenge level can be a little bit gone as well. And for some people, that takes the spark away. For other people, that's what they like. But you're gonna, for some things, you have to kind of know yourself. Is this a motivator or like a demotivator for you?
Right, exactly.
I guess the overall is nice and ready. You know about transfer hammering? How to use it?
Yeah, I know how to transfer hammer.
Mm-hmm.
What I wouldn't transfer hammer from that overall to the top, would I? So I've already got 6% stat and 11 stars.
If you want to check, you can simply put it in the overall menu, and you just see what the outcome would be. And you can see what will happen.
And I can also I could do that to the bottom whenever I get that as well, right?
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. Like when you do get the pants, you can like recycle all of the value right now in Penciler, because we don't have trade, and we don't have an auction house, anything like that in Reboot. A lot of the ways that you upgrade and that you play smart for the long term is that you invest as much as you have to, but nothing more, and then you try to recuperate as much as the invested value beyond. So that's why keeping everything epic is generally a really good idea. Star Force, epic, and then an OK Flame, and then you can transfer hammer through, and as long as you give it the extra stars before you transfer hammer, so you don't drop below like save points and that kind of stuff, you can maintain a lot of your value, and you can skyrocket. Or as
definitely
I heard Trump at some point actually said it will skyrocket downward, which was just
I'll try not to do that.
It stuck to me because it was just such a beautiful term of phrase. But yeah,
leave it to Trump for that.
Yeah. So for some, for some items,
look at my hat then, where I got I think I had a couple extra blue or black cubes, and
oh yeah, you got it to
I got it to unique.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, let's just use a couple, and of course it rolled up to unique doing that, and had to buy a pack of red cubes to get some some strength back on it.
Yeah. Well, you can also buy Master Craftsman cubes, right?
Yep.
Because if you buy red cubes to tier it up, to re-roll it, then the red cubes could have tiered it up again and gotten it to legendary.
Yep.
Exactly. And then you would have been stuck, really only being able to use red or black cubes.
Gosh. So bad.
So you like perpetuated the problem. It almost made it worse.
Make it worse.
It almost made it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, gear is mostly Pencilier. I guess I had a question on when you go away from. So I have the Fexo Lab.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the flames kind of suck on it. It should be, I think, at the top of it.
Yeah. I see. Yeah.
I think the flames kind of suck. Can I do anything with this? Can I re-roll this with reflame it, or is it stuck?
Yeah, the only thing you can do is flame it. Yeah, Star Force is stuck, potential is stuck, but you can flame it. So I would.
I can get some attack out of that.
Yeah, I think if you use a calculator, I think it's does it double? I think it is like 68 or something, or 64, something like that on a tier 6, I believe.
I know it's higher than this is the only thing that I remember when I looked at it. I was like, oh, that's
this
way
might
lower
be
than it could be.
Because this is a flame advantage item, right? You can tell by how many numbers, and also like the 2,400. That's a really big MP number.
Yeah.
Won't be surprised. The downside, of course, is that Knuckles don't have very high base attack. Oh, 62. Yeah, so it currently is tier 4, and then 47 would be tier 5, and 62 would be tier 6.
Okay.
Which is 28 attack gain, and if you put that in terms of flame score, 28 attack for you now is probably roughly around 100 flame score worth, somewhere like 90 to 100. So if you add that up with all the other items you have, that's a really big potential gain to be made.
Oh yeah.
And then your emblem.
So my secondary and emblem are both 9 attack, 15
IED.
IED.
Yep.
And that's all I want to do is get those up to legendary and just 1 or 2 lines for now. 1 attack. I could probably get away with 2 lines of attack and leaving out one of the IEDs, I guess, for current bosses. Especially I have on my main attacking skill, I have level 40, so it's plus another 20% for that attacks.
Does it have innate IED as well on top of that, or no?
I'm not sure.
So the main things you're looking at when you're IDing is like, can you debuff the boss? Do you have a hyper passive for your skill? Do you have the boost node for your skill? And does your skill have any like innate properties? Because those are things that don't show up in your window when it comes to IED and damage. But those are things that get applied all the time as long as you can apply them consistently. So I think you do debuff the boss a lot, but I'm pretty sure it's mainly with like critical damage and stuff.
Final damage from Shade's attacks.
Well, some say True Spirit Claw has that. Right. It's when you have the empowered green swipey thing, right? I think that one has 100% IED on it.
That's 50% more IED.
Oh, 50%. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you can't count that one because it doesn't apply all the time, right? It just swipes every now and then.
The regular Spirit Claw boost, I got to 40.
Yeah, so that's 20 that applies all the time for that skill. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the debuffs, you have to know if you debuff a boss, do you get more IED out of that? I don't think Shade does, but I think there's like one skill that gives you more damage on a target the more debuffs they have or something, right?
I'm looking for most of the ones I'm seeing are final damage. Like Deathmark does final damage. The like the Blade Imp down forward, what have you does. It looks like final damage increased by 10%.
What does the critical damage? Is that the hyper?
Another final damage 5.
Oh, it's so many sources.
Oh my gosh.
Keep them coming.
Right, I'll take it.
Yeah, it scales very well. So
I know there's something for crit damage is like below 50% you have 100%, or not crit damage, but crit rate. It's like below 50% health you have 100% crit rate or something like that.
On the if the target or Spirit Gate gives a debuff for crit damage. Is that Spirit Gate? Is there anything else? Because Spirit Gate isn't 100% uptime, right?
That's not 100% uptime. It's one of the cooldowns.
One of those fifths, right? That gets like those purple bee things, whatever.
Exactly that one.
Those weird monsters, yeah.
I love when I boss and I forget to turn off my my skill animations or turn it down, and then my whole screen turns into, especially with Shade, where one of your abilities
like
just
a rainbow
casts things. I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, I hope I'm strong enough to one shot this, or this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, I always say like some people play at KMS mode where they play with max visibility and then
oh my gosh,
somehow they survive boss fights. It's beautiful.
Well, that's impressive. That is impossible for me.
Even with transparency, it's an issue. Yeah, it's like Cannoneer. Every single instance of damage shows up still, and then you throw those giant cannons through something, and you can't really see what's going on. You just have to kind of know the rhythm of the attacks and know what the danger zones are and what the kind of safer zones are, and then play around that.
I think I've seen you like get on them to do a part of like CRA training or something. No, it wasn't the CRA training. It was something else. I saw you get on them once, and I was like, this is so many.
Oh, for the Cannoneer?
Yeah.
I did CPAP, and I did do Lotus and Damien solo, like a lot of lines. Oh, and Lucid I've done with him.
Oh, nice.
But I was mainly just primary golem clear, just try to throw big bullets through the whole map and summon all the little the monkey gang to just shoot the whole map up, basically. No, they have transparency, but they don't select it for some reason. Like when you say any KMS video of people doing, they do like the black mage with like everyone's skills visible, and like, how do you do this? I can't see anything, but somehow they just play like that. It's crazy. Yeah, when the chicken jumps, the way that you can tell is that the numbers go higher in the map suddenly. It's really bad.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you have to look at the.
No, I can't do that. No way.
There's actually a sound when chicken jumps as well. If you play with sound on, there's like a sound that goes like or something, and then that's when you know he he jumped up. So then you gotta go
Yeah, that
crazy.
could be useful. I've tunneled before and just sat still.
Mm-hmm. Number goes higher. Well, the point of impact of the skill in the boss goes higher, so the numbers start higher. So they start higher basically. I mean, they don't go higher because you're a cannoneer and they already go to the top of the map. So you can hear when you're playing Cannon Master. Well, yeah, you have to put like the boss sounds on, but have to turn the skill sounds down because you can't. No, you can't hear anything. It's like because it's just like that's what cannoneer sounds like. Yeah. Okay, back to you. Chat, be quiet. It's not your session. Okay.
You know what really hurts me about my stats is my crit rate is 98%, and that hurts me a lot.
I saw that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because you were okay. So with your current emblem and secondary, that's beautiful for CRA and CRA solo time. Like you can brute force it harder and then just make it easier for yourself. If you have a little bit lower, you make it a little bit harder for yourself. This is like someone is like solo progressing, and this is like your weapon, secondary, and emblem. Like maybe a slightly better flame, but this is like pretty much what is like perfect to be able to do it with. And then as long as everything else is like at least 6% stat and you have the right combinations, you should be able to do it as long as you have somewhat of an okay node setup, and I believe I saw that you do. And your hyper stats aren't completely bonked in some way, and you have a little bit of legion, then it's doable. It's just like a practice kind of thing.
Okay.
The one thing when you're talking about moving up to legendary and everything, and you definitely want to do that, once you get past CRA, and then once you get the CRA stuff itself sorted and start equipping that. The one thing past and if going to legendary, don't be too quick to say like, I can just probably roll out of IED. You might be able to. Remember, you'll probably get some ID from the familiars, right, to enter up this line. But are you like perfectly aware of like how IED is calculated and how important it is for your damage output?
Yeah, I watched a recent one of your gear progressions, and you talked about opportunity cost of IED versus percent attack, because somebody had a lot of IED and less attack.
98 with. Is it that one?
Yeah,
it's like it's only 98.
I was like, it was pretty funny. I was like, are you kidding me? How do you even have 98? That's possible?
Yeah, they had a familiar with 75. I was like, okay. I feel we have discovered the source. Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured that out, and I actually re-rolled something. I don't remember what it was. To get, I think I had a line of 30% IED and like 9% attack, and I had like no attack on my other one, just IED and boss damage. And what I did was re-rolled, so I had at least 9% attack on both items, and got lucky and got just 2 lines of 15% IED. Just happenstance. But I understand if I get 10% and I'm at 86, I'm only going to get a little over
1.4.
Yeah, 1.4 added to my actual number. So I get there's like diminishing returns there.
Yeah, and then the other factor is how much armor the bosses has, right? So Vellum has 200%, and then Helix has 250%, and then basically Lotus and Damien and everything beyond that have 300%.
Okay, I had not looked closely at the specific bosses. I knew Vellum was hard because he had higher defense, but I didn't know exactly.
He used to have 300 as well, so they kind of brought him more in line with his position in the game, where he was a little bit easier to do. But he used to have 300, which was why he was so difficult way before. So yeah,
it's like you get 3 doors and you never finish the last one. You just
there was a huge difference between the 3, because the idea is kind of that you can 3-door, and then with equipping the 3-door, there's a little bit of ID on that, and then the set bonus, and then equipping that and going from an overall into a top bottom, getting the extra damage, so you get the last bump you need to be able to participate and kill Sivel. But before that was still not enough to get you there. But now I think it's definitely more doable. Like if you can solo Chicken, then you can probably solo the other 2 as well with some more practice. And then once you equip all of those pieces, upgrade them a little bit, then you should also be Sivel ready. That's like the idea now. Yeah.
The theory, at least. Well,
the theory, exactly. Yeah. Some classes might struggle a little bit more with one class over with one boss over another, right? But Funmon is typically for everyone the easiest one, and then between Chicken and between Clown and Queen, it really depends on some classes' mechanics.
Okay. Okay.
Clown will be
That's
very,
fine.
very hard with 8K experience. Speaking from experience. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that it recently with some crazy
Oh,
numbers. I think he was like over 300% boss at some point. And he did it around 8K. Was trying Clown. When did you do Von Bon? I don't know. Yeah, he recently restarted. He was playing a Pathfinder before, and then he started with a
Okay.
Shade as well. And but I think it's already like 230 now or something.
Okay.
Clown is harder than Vellum. It really depends on what class you are. We're able to duo Clown at 8K. Well, I think my Adele did it around 5K, but did my Dual Blade do it at 5K as well?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is your boost nodes though. Like I had low-ish boost nodes. The Adele was a little bit higher on boost nodes, but the Dual Blade was pretty low on boost nodes. But if you power through on boost nodes, you can do things even lower. From Bon around 7K. Now at 14K stat, I killed them all in 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, in like a month, if you keep playing in a month, you go from like struggling on them to just like getting in there, just blowing them up and going to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it seems. It's the same thing. I got like 2 items, and I was like, I got the Dominator pendant and that Ilfa's ring, which gave me the 9 set, and I got them, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, these bosses are now so much easier.
And they're high level items, and then the Dominator is also flame advantage high level, so you can get some decent flame score out of that.
Is attack in the flame score calculator?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the stats, depending on which, so if you do it on the left side, you have to select which character you're calculating for.
Okay.
And then based on which one you calculate for, it'll give you the numbers that you need to put in that have any kind of effect on the flame score, basically.
Oh, okay. It does have weapon attack there. Okay.
So if you're shade, so you're like a normal strength class basically, and then you have to add strength, dex, attack, all stat. Basically, yeah. And here, if you have to enter if you're in late game or end game, but yeah, it'll be late game for a while. And then you can, if you want to, you can save them on the bottom here, and then it'll be easier for you to remember like which one has the most room for growth and which one has.
Oh, that's useful. I just do it again every single time, so that's very helpful.
Yeah, and you can like add more if you want to, or you can remove some here.
Nice.
Yeah, Seth made this very nice. Every now and then we.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah. Sure, he appreciates. Yeah, when we're before I'm like so because there are so many ID pieces and you get so many moving parts, and before you commit, so locking in your potential on your equips or rolling that's a relatively rigid and expensive thing to move around on, right? So all the other things that are more flexible and cheaper to move around on, you want to make sure that you get those things settled first, realistically, or have a realistic goal for that you're working towards, and then based on that assumption, make a plan for the weapon and secondary and the emblem, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's agreed generally. What I would like is some, specific, I guess, actionable items I can take from this. Like, I know we haven't gone through the gear one by one, and I understand there are, like you said, I can go really hard on one item, and it's just one item that's helping me. Whereas I could split my funds over multiple, and it's a lot cheaper, and you get a lot more bang for your buck. So, I guess once I get the
well, your general order is right, though, right? Because the emblem and the secondary are unique, and then you have OK lines there, and then all the rest is pretty much epic. Like, that is the general order to go through things. Okay. So I'm not, like, criticizing that too much. But what if you roll... Because I'm going to assume, again, that you use red cubes on the emblem and the secondary, right?
Yeah.
So what if you roll those to legendary? Then you get the discrepancy between a legendary item and an epic item, and there's, like, a lot of room in between there. Because if you happen to roll, like, a 9 and a 6... on a unique item, you have 15 versus an epic at 6, so you're like 2.5 times the gains pretty much. Versus if you're rolling on legendary, and if you roll 21% attack there or something, that could be really good too. But if you're comparing 21% attack versus if you roll the same lines on unique, which would be 15, then you're getting 6% there, so you're gaining, what is it, 2/5?
Yeah,
like 40%. So that's like the percent increase there is what you're kind of looking at.
Okay.
Versus, so unique, and they kind of happen at the same time. It's like, do you get everything else unique at the same line of your emblem, or do you get your emblem and your secondary up first? That's pretty close. That's pretty close to each other. The other thing that you don't want to forget about, of course, is Star Force and everything like that as well. But it's probably too early to think about 17-star Star Force. You probably want to just get everything up to like 10, 11, or 12, like around there. But we do have a 5, 10, 15 coming. So if you have a bunch of stuff at 10, you're basically going to get it to 11 for free if you don't have it there already.
Yeah, I've got most of them either. I think most of them are 11. I might have a couple 12s in there because I felt like risking it for, what 3 stat.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what it is in the beginning. Just like a little bit of extra stat. But something that can go past 15, that's where you really want to spend the money, because past 15 the gain is huge.
Yeah.
So much extra attack. So I guess before we really dive into the equips more, I would like to look at the Legion and the links a little bit more. So what's your like regimen there? What kind of progress are you making there?
So I got a little burned out on Legion, and that's why I started trying. I was like, okay, let's go, try the bosses on the main again. I was doing, you do 1 a week and get it to 140, something like that. And it's not bad to do. It's pretty easy, and I just I had a bunch at 120 and then realized you could use one potion that levels you up, and then you train for 30 minutes, or kill a I don't even remember the boss now. Kill a Zachem, and then train for 30 minutes, and all of a sudden you have like 5 or 6 levels, right?
Yep. Very efficient at that level for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And that's what I plan on doing, is probably 1 a week or so. The Fire Poison Mage is abysmal to level as a Fire Poison Mage. So I got burnt out the last weekend and did not finish that one to 140. What I plan to do is do some of the resistance, because I don't have level 10 resistance link. It's only like level 2 because I only have 1 of them. Yeah,
it can go up to level 8. You have 4 resistance classes. Yeah.
So that's probably my next one. I know Blaster gives, I think, a little IED as well, so I was probably going to start there and then just work through a couple of the others.
Yep.
And I use exactly your you have like a Lincoln Legion one, and I just highlight them when I've done them, and I just run through them.
Okay, nice.
And I have Mercedes there and Evan already at 140 or above, and 0 is just, I was starting to do the level up using the story quests, and it's just terrible. I need to not do that and just come back and do them later.
Yeah, some people have said that they just finish chapter 2 and then go train, and then once they're like around 180 or 185, they go back and then go through the whole story, and it's way faster to do it that way.
I'm gonna have to agree with him.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing a lot. So, yeah, I guess you struggle less through the storyline and get to kind of experience. Because instead, I think you get it to 180 through the storyline, but then you don't get to really experience your skills in the real world because you've already gone so far through the game.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit of give and take there, I guess. Yeah, see what works for you.
Yeah, that's the other thing I like about most of these is your flexibility with this. You say, like, do what you want, right? If you enjoy the storyline, do the storyline. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it and come back and blow through it later, right?
Yeah, but as far as you can, you have to do chapter 2 from what I understand.
You have to, yeah. So that's my big one there. Is there anything big I'm missing on Legion as far as leveling them up?
I don't think so. I mean, you have 10 more characters whose levels will still count, right?
Yeah.
So 10 more level 100s is like, boom, that's 5.6, and then you're very close to 6, and then you have the whole grid. So you're definitely en route for that.
Okay. What about optimization of where I put skills? So I saw a post of a Shade who had just soloed Von Bon, and that's why I went and tried it and saw that he had a bunch into crit damage, and that's when I looked at it and said, okay, well, I'm just going to take all my points at a crit rate, use the level 4 adventurer, I don't know what it's called. It's like the bowman skills.
Yeah.
And that way I could still sit pretty close to 100 crit rate, and then just have a bunch more crit damage, and that's when I killed the boss. So I guess my question is, do I need to move any of that from crit damage into boss damage, or is it okay where it is? Is there any optimization I can do there?
Well, so the pure the exact answer is that all of that has to be done by a calculator, because the human brain can't really like get all these variables in and just like shit out like this is the answer.
That's what you're here for, man.
Yeah, no. Like, intuitively though, like, so you want your critical rate to
No,
be at
I gotcha.
100% at all times, and then if you can do that, you want to be able to do that with as many sources as possible that aren't the Legion grid itself, ideally. And then once you have that 100% crit rate, or very close to, then you want to max out your critical damage pretty much above anything else in the Legion board. Critical damage is a very scarce source and is a huge increase of damage. So that's basically the number one to always max in your Legion grid. But again, you want to make sure you have 100% crit rate, otherwise you don't get full efficiency out of the critical damage.
Right.
So the other guy might have had like a few characters with a few more levels, maybe had his hyperstat one level higher, you know, a few more things moved around. Maybe one of his familiars that had ID also had like 2% crit rate or something, you know, small things like that. Or he had a badge with a 1% crit rate. And then, yeah, the critical damage will... because the main thing with your Legion and your Lynx is that it gives you invisible damage. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't show up in your range whatsoever. And you really have to... As you go further through the game, and you've probably already started noticing this quite a bit, is that you have to completely let go of your damage range, because that's just not a metric that really helps you. Like, it feels good that when it's going up, don't take that out of context, but you but it's not like the deciding factor for anything like I can do this or I can't do this. It's all the numbers right underneath that, where it's the damage bonus, boss damage, ignore defense, critical rate, critical damage. Those are the super important ones that will and then, you know, apart from that, there's like your arcane power and your boost node levels. Those will truly determine how quickly can you kill something, and what actually shows up in your damage range is of much lower importance.
Okay.
The other thing where someone can get crit rate, for example, is the invulnerability, because that one for you right now is not being utilized very, not super efficiently.
Like my 39 strength?
No, the 7% buff skill duration isn't quite doing it for me.
It's about the worst. I got it to legendary and said, "Ah, there's some strength on there.
Yeah.
I'll do that later."
Mm-hmm. Well, there is an invulnerability reroll next week, so we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions. Was can I lock when I roll with circulators? Can I lock, like, can I lock it into legendary? Can I lock a top stat if I need to, if I get my attack speed in there, or you know, how does it work? Is it just like rolling honor? Just you pay for it with mesos?
So circulators are like black cubes, basically. You have a rank to tier up, a chance to tier up. You cannot tier down. You can either pick all the new lines or all the old lines.
Okay.
And then if you roll with honor, you can choose what you lock. And if you want to lock any of the lines, you also have to lock the tier, obviously.
Yep.
But you can choose to only lock the tier as well, or like one. So I have an invulnerability command as well of kind of like how do you want to go about ranking up your invulnerability. What is like an efficient way so you don't waste all of your honor experience on rolls that you. Because honor experience is one of the resources in the game, very akin to stuff like event coins, for example, where you can sometimes buy things with event coins that you could otherwise also buy with Meso. And in the beginning, it's basically like, oh, free money and free progress. But as you start making more money in the game, and in Reboot you will start doing that pretty quickly, you want to prioritize buying things with resources that you cannot buy with money otherwise. And anything that you can buy with Meso, you want to primarily make it come from Meso, and then the other stuff from, you know, the other temporary sources. So when it comes to like just rolling your invulnerability and getting a very nice line on your second or third line, you can do that with money. So you're basically buying honor experience, so to speak.
Okay.
And then
it's a different mindset for it. That's interesting.
Yeah. So there's like temporary, you can go like for a temporary setup, you can go for more like a permanent setup. It basically depends on how long you plan on playing your character and everything, and how much you want to min-max it. If you don't have a lot of money to spend on circulators, but you do want to get something nice during a 50% off, you could just lock legendary and just re-roll until you get something nice anywhere, and then just be like, okay, I'm going to keep this for a while. Recruit him to the guild, he's homeless. Hey, we have We have a guild if you're looking.
Call me out.
He just wants more shades, I think.
I'll join. I can. You know, I probably don't get to play as much as everybody else, but I would love to join.
There we go. Exclamation mark guild. There's the whole application process. Basically, if you can read and you can get through the application process, you passed the bar. That's basically. But you'd be surprised how many people don't pass the bar properly. You'll see like a guild join request, and then they're not anywhere in the list, and it's like, well, I guess you failed to read, so out you go.
I hope you tell them that on stream.
Yeah. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So like the lower approach, like the lower bar approach, and the not wanting to min max that much is just like, you know, get it up to legendary, and then lock legendary during 50% off, and then just roll until you say something nice on the top line.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, it could be like, if you need speed infusion, attack speed +1, then that's obviously like a high value one. For some people, it's like a line of boss damage, maybe a line of meso obtain, and drop rate can also be very good because it just, you know, makes you more money and more nodes while you're leveling. Some people could sell for like a big line of buff duration, for example. There's a bunch of options.
Okay.
And then you can just leave it there, build up honor experience, and then in the long term, if you come back and you want to min max it, then what the trick usually is you roll circulators over what you have, and so that you can get a unique second or third line, whichever one is the rarest and the hardest one to get. Because typically your inner ability lines on legendary are like, top line is legendary, and then the second and third line are typically epic with a small chance of being unique.
Okay.
So the ideal setup is having your legendary line and then 2 unique lines. That would be the best with most people. And then the goal doing it this way would be to circulate for a unique line, or either second or third. And when you roll with a circulator, so that's the other reason why you kind of buy honor experience, but circulators always roll the highest possible number within the tier of the stat. So there's still variance. So like, let's say for legendary and for boss damage, for example, it can range anywhere from 16 to 20% boss damage. But if you roll it on a circulator, it's always 20. Okay. So that's why...
that's super useful.
Mm-hmm. So if you're... I don't know what you're... But there's an under inner ability. There's also like a best in slot one for all the classes.
I looked that one up. It's useful, yeah, and I have none of those.
And
I think, it was attack speed, crit rate, and then, I don't know, boss damage.
And then boss, yeah.
With an asterisk on the crit rate for some reason. Who doesn't want 100% crit rate? That's all I have to say.
Yeah, makes your damage more consistent in the first half of bosses before your passive has the chance to kick in. If you really value your burst more than anything, this can be 21 attack instead, yeah. I think late game, end game, some people might just aim for 100% crit always, and then they don't want to rely on it for the inner ability and just min-max for some more damage. But most of the time, 20% crit on your inner ability, that's like a huge fucking myth. Like that could end up costing you so much money. Some of those unique lines, quote unquote, that are you know, best in slot and what you want to aim for in your inner ability, some people never see that in a lifetime. So the ideal for most people is just like a remotely a useful unique line on second or third, and then locking that and then re-rolling during a 50% off to get something, to get one of the 2 best lines that you can get on the top line, and then you just like Hail Mary lock everything for and then get some 30 decks or, you know, 20 decks on the third line, and then get at least something out of it kind of deal.
Right.
That's what people end up with. And then you see some screenshots of people who have like the perfect fucking inner ability, and they don't even know how lucky they are, because sometimes they only spent like 500k or something.
Right.
And then other people spent, you know, billions and billions on circulators, sometimes 20, 30, 40 bill on circulators, and maybe 8 million honor experience, and then they have only like a shadow of what the other person has. So it's really, really heavy RNG.
Good old RNG. Can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Cost Codenuc's 4 mil. That's pretty good. I've spent 8 mil in total now while locking 2 lines during 50% offs, and I've never seen any crit, not even like 1%. Nothing. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, if the attack speed +1 is probably pretty important, so I would probably either you can choose to either circulate and save your honor experience, or to just lock the top line and spend some honor experience to try to see if you can get attack speed +1 on the top.
Okay.
Whichever one you do, I would say set a limit. Set a limit to how much money you're willing to spend, and set a limit to how much honor experience you're willing to spend, because it's gambling, and you need to set a limit when you gamble. Just like in real life and also in the game, because you're gonna feel like shit if you go over your limit and then suddenly you have no money left to spend on something else.
You mean when I blew my first bill to get this character to here?
Maybe, yeah. No repeat. But yeah, that's like general life advice, and just Maple Story advice, just the same.
Yeah.
Set
Yeah.
a
Luckily,
limit.
no gambling in life. Just Maple gambling.
Okay, yeah.
Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's hope that it doesn't bleed over. That's the more important
True.
one, yeah. Sauce,
All right. Anything big missing on links? Again, I have the Bowman one in there for a little extra crit rate.
Yeah, that's probably
Hopefully
the.
I have the Demon Slayer at 209, so one
Okay.
more level and I get
Really
that extra
close.
5%.
That's nice. Yeah, the Bowman is definitely the lowest value for the slot that it's in. So ideally, we want to replace that one with something else. But yeah, you do want to keep your crit rate at 100%. So if you need it for now, then that's fine. And you have the Night Lord and the Marksman, right?
Yes.
So that's giving you 6% now?
I think that's correct. They're both just 140. They are not 200 yet. So yes, I think that's correct.
And then the skill, the Adventurer's skill also gives 6, right?
What is the Adventurer skill?
The Explorer, Archer Explorer, sorry.
Oh, I only have 4 right now. I can level up a what is it? Bowmaster is what I'm.
Yeah, but level 4 gives more than 4, I believe. No, because level 6 gives 10. But I don't know how it levels exactly.
I don't know either.
Does level 2 give 5, and then level 4 gives 7?
Adventurous Curiosity, level 4 is 7%, level 5 is 9%. So if I just leveled up a Bowmaster to, what is that, level 60, level 70, I could get that last 2% of crit rate there, but like you said, something else may be more useful in that slot eventually.
Pig ID, no, sorry. Yeah, so the Spirit of Freedom leveling, that's gonna be useful. I guess after that, the next next lowest level is probably the Bravado. Let's see what I have, because you are pretty bursty, right? So you could consider maybe the Angelic Buster link.
Okay.
But I'm thinking if it's gonna be great for you or not, because that new 4th V is pretty big, and you have all of those things you throw together.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have this like next to each other or something. Make sure that I don't forget anything important. These make sense. These make sense. These make sense. Tide of Battle for most people is like an optional one. Soul is so like mentally swap places with those and those. Yeah, you're solo bossing, so you don't use Noble Fire. You use that. You don't need Night's Watch. Judgment. The Kinesis crit damage skill.
Oh yeah.
Is not
I don't have that.
Yeah, so between Judgment and the Terms and Conditions, I believe, the Angelic Buster one.
Yeah.
Those two would be like the min-maxi to roll over the Adventurer's crit Deuter and the Bravado, but you'd need the IED and the crit rate first, of course, to be able to roll out. Because so for now your setup is fine.
Okay.
The one other thing that's a little bit dicey, I don't know if you want to keep it, is a Tide of Battle. If you feel like you just pretty much always have it on anyway, then it's fine. but you want to avoid feeling like you have to move around to be able to get it, and then maybe lose DPS because you're moving, or possibly die because you're moving to keep Tide of Battle on, you know?
Yeah, it's not something I've looked at closely to see how well, you know, my uptime is in a boss, because sometimes you're right, you just stand there attacking when you're bursting, and sometimes you're, you know, jumping away from stuff, so...
Because when you burst, that's when you do the most damage, but when you burst, you also stand still.
Exactly, so I'm losing the buff halfway through my burst, right?
Some classes, when they're bursting, they still attack. So for them, it's great. You know, like a Nightwalker or something is always jump attacking, or Dawn Warriors like slashing up and down and up and down, or Kadena is constantly like animation canceling and woofing around, and that still counts. So for those classes, it's great. But if you, during your burst, stand still, and then when you're doing the biggest burst, like all of those balls flying around, and then Tide of Battle stacks disappear, and then it explodes, and then the skill does nothing when you want the biggest damage to apply. So that's one... yeah, maybe switching that one out first, Tide of Battle, with the Angelic Buster one, to really milk your bursts.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be fun to try against a boss and see how it changes.
Bigger numbers, more numbers. Well, you won't really notice the the size of the numbers. You'll just hopefully you'll see the boss die quicker. That's the more easily. Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, it looks fine. Yeah. And I saw that you're working on the Phantom a little bit as well. Like the 5% there is nice if you can get that, of course.
Yeah, I was considering. I wanted to get the resistance links first.
It does make CRA a lot easier, especially for soloing.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I noticed. I die and then it's like, okay, well the buff is gone immediately. Like you spawn in and it's gone.
Yep.
At least Shade, you're lucky. You can make some mishaps and you don't die anyway. So
You do have that. What is like 15% on? When you just train you to be lucky, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got it.
Is it 15% on your own close call, and then some other things that some guardian angel type thing, right?
Yeah, some another spirit, guardian spirit can revive you, right?
Yep, and then you have an iframe on your full screen attack.
Yep.
And then reduced incoming damage on the 4th V.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it works pretty well. It's enough for me.
Good stuff. Crashed right in front of a wait, crashed right in front of a droplet. Wait, what map was it? Someone has to go loot it. It'll show up. Oh no, wait, do droplets still show up right before they disappear? I don't think they do. I think they removed that. Yeah, rip.
Poor guy.
Yeah, summon other spirit. Yeah, I just mentioned. Yeah, it'll like revive you or something. Yeah. Where's my 20% close call 6? Listen, I think there's a max to that. Okay. Imagine if you could like spec into close call and get like level 10 close call to have it be like 95% or something and like never die. That one hurt. You know what hurt? One time I was doing dailies and I switched maps and people are like, you left a droplet. I'm like, what? And then I checked the VOD and there was actually, I killed 3 monsters and then opened up my world map and left, and in the corner of the map you could see a droplet on the ground from the 3 monsters I killed.
That's terrible.
But yeah, that was like 8 minutes later, so yeah, there's no going back to that one. But yeah, it was one of those will droplets as well back when they didn't drop everywhere. So, oh well.
Wow. Oh well. What can you do?
AB's Link has double effect on herself. Yeah, I believe that's true. I think, well, it has higher effect for Shade, right? Close call. I think it's 15% instead of 10.
Let me pull it up.
I believe someone said that. No, not a will droplet, but like the stone droplet, I meant. Sorry.
Says 10 for me.
Oh, it's 10 for you? Okay. Well, rip. Yeah, you should get 20 then. Damn. AB's just better class than Shade. Damn, they're going to have class wars in the chat now.
Ooh. I feel that.
Someone disagrees.
That's fine. You like what you like. I don't like buffing, so Shade.
Yeah. I mean, once you get the 5th job, everyone has buffs, right?
Yeah, the 200, it was fun.
It was fun while it lasted.
I have less buttons than other people. How about
that? True. Once we get to the 10th V skill, you still have buttons on your keyboard, and everyone else is like scattering for Oh, and you
That's-
have the Freuds as well. That's another iframe, right?
So I don't have that currently equipped, but yes,
Yeah, you don't have the room, no, but that can be
eventually.
very cool, pretty useful, and it's pretty niche, but it can be very useful. You know how it works, like with the stacking and everything.
No.
So if you use it, it goes on cooldown, but like only a short cooldown. It's like a 20 or 25-second cooldown, I believe, and then you can use it again. And then every time you use it, you gain a stack. And then 1 stack you gain effect number 1, 2 stacks you gain effect number 1 and 2, 3 stacks 1 and 2 and 3, and so forth. And then when you get to, I believe, 5 or 6 stacks, you can check the description, then you get all of the effects, and then the last one is like 30-second iframe. So sometimes before people go into a boss, they'll be like, oh, I'm stacking Freuds, which means like, you know, every 20-25 seconds they're using a buff. And it's like, okay, I'm full stack to go in, and then you're just immune with big buffs for the first 30 seconds. You can just wail on a boss. It's very useful for, you know, like going into Lotus or certain hard boss fights, or, you know, the beginning of the Black Mage, you're just like immune for the first burst completely. You're just standing there, binding and bursting, and nothing even touches you, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but
yeah, that's
it does. Yeah, it does come into play a little bit later, of course, but yeah, some people can use it in clutch situations. Very useful. The other skills, so see, you have decent Mystic Door, decent Hyper Body, decent Infant Blessing. You can definitely just get rid of those. Those are completely.
I wasn't
not
sure
useful.
about that. I just looked at it and said, "Is this do I ever use that, or just completely ignore it?"
Yeah, no, it's better if you're not sure. It's better to keep them. But like those 4 is definitely a 0. Zero utility. Combat orders might be useful later on. I don't think you'll ever use Nova really, because you do have your bind and you have resets for your bind.
Yep.
So that is probably never going to be used for you either. All the other ones can have some use, so I would keep those for now.
Okay.
But in general, the Matrix is fine, right? Did you get its second set to like level up your other ones a little bit easier? Because I thought Shade only got 1.
I think there's a couple tri-nodes. One tri-node is the Spirit Claw, Bomb Punch, and Fox spirits, and I have never gotten a tri-node on this character, and it's terrible. But I have them spread over. I have like a 4th boost node that's sitting down here that has Fox Spirits and Bomb Punch, and it's level 7. It also has Death Mark on there, which is somewhat useful. So when I have another one, I can throw that in there and hopefully get my Fox Spirits up to, you know, catching up to 40. And then I have a couple others that are 2 of the 3 of the second line that you have on the screen now, like either Spirit Incantation or Spirit Frenzy, and just like a random 3rd one. But I have those leveled up sitting there so I can fill a spot if need be.
Okay.
Like, I'm not getting rid of them, I'm just leveling them up and hanging out on them for when the actual tri-node comes out, when it drops.
Yeah, you do limit your options for tri-nodes though if you're already leveling up though, right?
Yeah.
So be aware of that. Like the sooner you start committing and leveling up, the more you limit your final options of what boost nodes you're gonna possibly get.
Yeah, I have if they have 2 of any of these skills, I'm keeping them. So I have a bunch of like level 1s just hanging out there, so I still have the flexibility on a lot of them and can switch.
Oh, you
back
keep them level 1. You're not leveling the.
Well, some that have, so like I have a Bomb Punch one that's Bomb Punch, Spirit Claw, and then like Soul Splitter, and I have like a Spirit Claw, Fox Spirits Incantation, and I have a Fox Spirits one sitting there.
Right, like
so
possible tries depending on the other.
Yeah, so I have all 3 of them. So if I get a tri-node that's either of those 3, I can immediately level it up, and then I have
nice. Okay.
the other ones hanging out there. Right, I get your point. There is a point where if I pour them all into certain ones, I could be limiting my options.
Yeah, like if you're looking
That
for
makes
Spirit Trap, Soul Splitter, Shock Punch or something, if you're looking for those 3 and then you already level up a Spirit Trap and a Shockwave Punch one, and then you get a perfect try Soul Splitter, then you're like, fuck. Then you have to extract the other one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, as long as it's like level 6 or lower or something, it's not that bad. The efficiency on the shards isn't horrible, but once you get like level 7, 8, 9 or over 10, the efficiency of shards versus versus not having to do that it gets really bad. Yeah, you lose a lot of progress.
Okay. Okay, that's a good thing to keep in mind, so I can.
Yeah, because you have a very big inventory. You can hold on to a lot of nodes. I think you can hold on to 200 or something.
Yeah, I had a bunch more than this and got pretty frustrated at them one day and consolidated a little bit.
Yeah, you can hold on to a lot of them, so there's no rush to like select them.
Okay.
What you do definitely want to do is extract the ones that have a top skill that is never going to be in part of any of your trinodes. You definitely want to do that early on. You don't want to hold on to more than you need, but yeah, the more you keep your options open, it kind of slows you down in the beginning, but you're going to finish faster. So that's the
okay.
It's all about how fast you finish. Okay, I need to stop. Okay. Yeah. So. Okay, I think that's all the side info and everything we need to check besides the equips, right?
Yes.
So specifically, I just like looking at this. Specifically, did I say already specifically?
Not yet.
Which so let's look at which equips specifically you need to do something with. CRA is coming in. That's pretty much already taken care of. You can still transfer Hammer the Hat over, right? It'll go down, boohoo, but you'll still have a 6% strength line on Epic with Star Force, so it still saves value, and there's no value lost in a Pencilier hat.
Yep.
The huge thing is that you basically hold on to these accessories, save maybe a few rings for a long ass time, basically until you're going past 15 star in Star Force.
Okay.
Because Gollux is pushed way back in difficulty. I don't know how long ago you played, but the Gollux rework has pushed him back quite a bit. And until then, you're just basically keeping this. Iron Face can be swapped for, the Dinero Bros, the monocle and a tattoo. But I really only typically advise that once you're going past 15 stars, because that's when the extra weapon attack and stat that you gain kind of overpowers the loss of the set bonus and of the flame advantage. Because again, these have flame advantage, but the other guys don't. So.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question. That's what I heard is they don't have flame advantage, so you have to make sure you have a good flame before you transfer, and it's not worth it unless you're going to star past, 15. So I kind of looked at it and said it's not worth doing now. Yeah, I can go. I don't have the dineros for it yet. I have about 100 or so, and I only do those maybe once a week or so. So okay, that makes sense. If I wait until I'm starting to star force past that point, then I know, okay, it's time.
Yeah, so if you're working on the boat, what you can do if you're in it for the long term, what you can do is first focus on leveling up your boat, and then once you get to the Dreadnought, the level 3 boat, then you can just blow out like 12 Dolces a day, and then you can start rolling in the Dineros, and then you can build up the backups. So what some people do is they'll buy the accessories very early, switch into them a little bit early, lose their set bonus, lose their flame advantage, get comparable potential to what they would have already had anyway, so they actually lose damage, and they slow down their progression on their boat, slowing down their endgame progression towards higher Star Force accessories as well. So if you start a little bit more meticulously and keep the accessories a little bit longer that seem weaker, you actually end up ahead in like a lot of different fields.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's also under exclamation mark Dineros, like the exact path to take and everything, and like which voyages to do and all that stuff. So you can read up on the details there. Yeah, and then the beauty of it is, of course, if you keep these longer and they end up going legendary, you end up getting damage on them. Once you switch over, you just re-roll them into drop rate, and then they just get a new life there, basically.
Yep.
So same thing with the rings. You'll probably end up these rings. So it's kind of the main thing that's going to depending factor are if you make all your money on your one account, if you have like 1 or 2 computers that you play with, which I think you do one, right? Because you haven't mentioned.
One computer.
And no dedicated money character.
No dedicated money character. What I've been doing is just a boss on a couple characters, right? And what I was hoping to do is get the Demon Slayer to a point before he loses gear to
Mhm.
solo CRA. At
Mhm.
least 3 door.
Mhm.
And I think that's doable now that I have done this on this character. I know like the mechanisms. I know how to get there, and so I can do it more efficiently and quickly.
For
'Cause
sure.
this
The rhythm, the range of the attack, that gives you a really good advantage. Yeah.
and the burst on that character is stupid. It kind of makes me mad. You go from shade, and then you log on that, and you hold down a couple buttons, and just murder.
You-
I think I walked into Chaos Horntail, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? For real? Why am I playing Shade?"
But Shade can split.
I like Shade. I don't know why.
Every class is just their own things, and yeah, if you stare at everything that you can't do, then every other class feels better. But then, usually when you play them for a bit longer, you're like, oh, if I was on my Shade, I would have done this now, but this character can't do that, and then you're like, grass is always greener kind of scenario.
Exactly. You only like the other one because it's new and you've been doing something different for so long.
Yep. A lot of times that's what it ends up being. Yeah. So yeah, the accessories stay with you long. So, and if you're making money and training it further, as long as your weapon, your secondary, your emblem, those are like in place, that could mean possibly going up to legendary, right? Because you want to rely for a lot of your damage. You want to rely on the arcane symbol and on your nodes. That's where you want to get a lot of your damage from. So as long as those are in place, you're doing those dailies a lot, and you're buying out event stores for nodes, all that kind of stuff. Then and your WSE is in place, then you can start investing into your accessories. So like the rings, the pendants, eye face, and the earring, those 9, and then get your meso and drop rate, hopefully with a line of strength on all of those. And then that'll be your solid foundation of making money and not losing any damage, maybe possibly even gaining damage. Because ideally, you just keep them epic and then move them up one at a time up to legendary with those 2. So you end up going up only 3% stat, probably, right? From 6 to 9. Or maybe a 6% all stat line, Maybe you don't gain strength, but at least you don't lose. But you gain the utility of the line. And then if you get a line of meso, well, the next one will be a little bit faster because you made a little bit extra money. You get a line of drop rate. Oh, you maybe get some more bags, so you make a little bit of money as well. And then eventually you try to make the set so you have 5 lines of meso, 4 lines of drop rate, and that'll be a very solid foundation. So you can, in the meantime, even if you don't equip everything else, you keep getting stronger because you level, so you gain damage because it's reboot, and the arcane power nodes, all that stuff keeps making you stronger.
Right.
And then you do that until Abzo comes in sight, basically. And then once the Abzo is in, then you could probably start thinking about, you probably do hard lux a little bit before that, and then Hellux starts coming in right after that usually, and that's when you start switching over to the superior gear.
Okay. What about is there an intermediate boot, glove, cape between Pencilier and Abzo?
Yeah, cape is definitely the Tyrant cape. That's
Does that drop from normal or hard or both? Magnus?
Drops from hard Magnus.
Okay.
Yep.
Where is that in the difficulty compared to, I guess, 3-door CRA?
I would say you have 3-door, then Seavel, then hard Magnus, and then probably after that is when you have like CPAP and Akechi, something like that.
Okay.
HMAG is a little bit easier for some classes than others, depending on how good your mobility is and if you have knockdown resistance or not. Because like they're getting blue swiped back or having to rely on an up jump when there's also stuff falling from the sky is pretty it can be pretty dangerous. But for most classes he's just a little bit harder than Seavel. We saw recently that his crystal is worth actually a little bit less than Seavel, so I guess according to the game's mechanics he is deemed a little bit easier, but he's like around Seavel level. But yeah, it'll depend on class to class. For most, I would say it's a bit harder. So
okay, yeah. How does the poison mechanic work in HMAG? I've accidentally clicked HMAG before and got him to probably 25% health and then died a few times to
So the poison fog only spawns on the side of the map. That's why you want to try to always fight them in the middle. So there's like 2 spawn locations on the left next to each other and 2 way on the right. And if you find them in the middle, there's no possible fog there. So that's why you want to keep the fight there and always be on his side of the middle of the map. So whenever he dashes within the middle 60% of the map, basically.
Gotcha. I think that's my problem is I die once due to something, and then I like chill on the left side of the screen until he comes over.
And then he floats over, and then you have to try to lure him away again, and that can be tricky. Then he's just like chilling in the corner, and then and then that combined with no resistance link, and then
You're
and then
catching on to
rip 8 lives. Yeah, I'm seeing it unfold like my first few weeks of HMAG. Yeah,
yeah, that's me.
it's a throwback. Yeah, so try to stay within the blue curtain, but then as far away from him as possible within it and on the side of the middle of the map. That's like where your position want to be, If you die, it's fine. Try to die in the middle of the map, so even if he dashes around, he stays somewhat in the middle. In the beginning, the easiest way to kill him is just to stay dead as long as possible, so your cooldowns have maximum time of recovering. So that every time you respawn, you die again, so whatever, you just stay dead, but try to die in the middle, right? And then whenever you come back, just go full bind and burst again. Just unload, and then if you die, it's fine. Die in the middle, and then if all is well, every 3 deaths or so, a lot of your cooldowns should be coming back, because you can stay dead for quite a while. And then, in the beginning, do it with some buff freezers, or, just do 1 buff freezer and do practice mode, something like that, until you can kind of get the hang of it. And if you're really strong, you just want to go in and you just want to fuck them up. The most guaranteed way of clearing is like just super patience, just wait out, and then just let your cooldown reset, do the work.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Just take your, I don't know what the timer is, take your 30-minute fight and be patient.
Do you ever have trouble remembering when you can bind again because you reset your timers?
Yes. Oh yeah. I need like an actual timer, because I heard it's like a 90-second internal cooldown, something like that, for when you can actually bind.
Yeah, 90 seconds after
after
it ends. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, I'm like, oh yeah, I have my button to reset this. Let's do it. Oh, he's not frozen. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah. He's like, oh, I can use it again. Oh.
So I need to. Is there a good way to have a timer for that? Or
Areno just said you can bind every spirit flow. So if you wait for spirit flow to come back up, then you can combine it with the bind. That's probably a good thing to try to keep in mind. Yeah. The other thing is sometimes you just use the timer on the boss on top, right? And I count like 90 seconds. But of course, combining that with, I mean, you're looking at the top of the map anyway, because that's where the balls are coming from. So just do some.
I wait till they're about halfway up down the screen, and then I decide what I'm gonna do.
And then you backstep. Just do some arithmetic.
And panic.
It's just like CPAP. Just do some arithmetic during the boss fight. Just trying to figure out when the next.
How about I just burst Pap or don't fight him?
If you spirit flow, then bind, it resets the bind, and then when spirit flow comes back, you can bind again. Wait, if you spirit flow and then bind, it resets the bind? Really? In that order?
Your bind has a longer cooldown than your spirit flow. So after the first one, my issue is the first one, right? I bind and then I spirit flow and then I try to bind again. So what I need to do is just use spirit flow then bind. Just get in the habit of doing that.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Because you don't need to reset the bind. What you want to reset is the split, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or does the split... Wait, does the split also have an internal cooldown?
I don't know about that.
Oh, split doesn't reset. Okay, never mind. Yeah. But it has the same as bind. Okay. Alright, good to know. Sell us tomorrow. Yes! This is an arc? No, this is a shade. A shade. You could tell by the secondary. Secondary is a little bit different. This is a marble... I don't know. Chaos marble or something?
Yeah, we'll call it a marble.
Frozen Fox Marble. Yeah, that's a name. Hey, I know my item names, okay? Fox Marble is the type. And then Arc has... What does Arc have? What is it called? Oh, shit, I should know this.
You should know this.
Oh, God. It's like a ball with like a little wings on top of it. Oh, no. Princess knows... It's like a dumb name. It's like Mark or something. Like it's just like a standard noun. Oh, fuck. A path. See, it's stupid. See, that's how I remember things. It's a path. I'm fucking gonna remind that. Okay. Yeah. So equip specific wise, is there any So the belt is like one of those categories where you can. Oh yeah, we're talking about glove, shoe, and cape. Yeah, so cape is just basically tyrants until Abzo, easy. Shoe and glove are a little bit memes because there's like a bunch of them that you can get in between, but they're all pretty much equivalent. There's probably like
choose bad ones. Okay.
yeah, just all like equally, and then you kind of just get whatever you have. Like if you already have epic with 6% stat, you can use that for a while.
Is it worth getting the Cygnus pieces?
Yeah, I would say so because that brings us back into the realm of salvaging investment. Because then you have 140, and then you could transfer into 150, and then into the Abzo, and then you can salvage your investment, and at least up to epic, it'll transfer over. So for that reason, I would say that could be worth. The same with the shoe. But these are also already 140. So you'd have to still restart the Star Forcing for the Cygnus one. So you could also say, I'm going to get the 150 gloves and just transfer this into the 150, and then maybe Star Force the 150 up and keep it at 16 or something, and then transfer that into Abzo when you get the Abzo ones.
Okay.
Then you don't have the flame advantage, but you'll have the extra stats and the extra weapon attack if you go to 16, and you'll keep the current potential, something like that.
Okay.
And then with belt, it's usually the pink bean belts because that can transfer into the superior belt.
Okay, I have a pink bean already with either I think it's 6 or 9%.
Yeah,
as well.
I saw that one. Yeah, so you can get some backups there if you want to go higher, or if you just want to make sure that you don't have to safeguard. Right, whenever if backups are easy to get, then you want to have some backups to make sure that you have a guarantee so that you don't have to safeguard, and that saves you a lot of money basically.
Okay.
Because typically, even the total boom chance up to 15 is just very, very low, but it is there. So, yeah, do you want to have a contingency plan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably too soon to go like 15 or 17 star on anything. If you do want to, you could, just always go by the highest level items. So you probably would be your CRA stuff. If you do want to go, do want to go to that far, and then the next one would probably be like your Dominator pendant, kind of treasure ring, and then the belt, stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, depends on how much money you're working with, and then the other ones would be safeguard, right? So that's hopefully you can kill CRA a few more times before, and then that means you have some backups, and then you don't have to safeguard. So again, low chance of boom, so you don't. It's not realistic that it's going to boom, but it can, so yeah.
Okay.
Keep it in mind.
Yeah, that's good. I've got a backup Dominator pendant as well.
Nice.
Same thing. It didn't drop for like ever, and then I get 2 days in a row. I'm like,
it's weird, right? That seems to happen so much.
I was so mad. I was livid the second day. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, I mean, why are you angry, man? You have 2. Come on.
I can be angry if I want.
You can't be mad. Yeah. I'll be mad if I want to.
Yeah. Oh well, I got one back up there.
Yep. No, that's good. That's good. And also, a lot of times people will keep one just for their set bonus and for drop and mezzo, and then the other one for transposing, right? Oh, because that's one thing you mentioned. I do want to make sure that you have that right, because you were talking about transferring with the flame to the tattoo and the monocle. So when you transfer hammer, the flame does not carry over. But when you transpose, it does carry over. And so there's nothing to transpose into the tattoo. That's just, you just level up the tattoo, you just Star Force the tattoo. But the monocle has the ability to transpose the papulatus mark into it. So that's the one that you want to flame to a high amount before you transpose it into the...
Okay, I thought you could do both, but they're a different... Is it by level? You can only do it within a certain level range?
Yeah, I have a video about that as well. It's under !! Transfer Hammer, where I talk about transfer hammering and transposing and what all the limitations are. And also when you want to transpose, so it's like at 16 stars is the ideal spot to transpose.
Yeah, you get a free, I don't know, what is it, free 3 attack or something?
Yeah, there's some of the stats get imprinted onto the target item, and that makes it just a little bit better. So that's what you want to do with the Dominator into the Sweetwater Pendant much later on. And then, if you've already leveled up your boat, you can get the extra dineros for that much faster as well than other people who didn't do that.
Okay.
And then with the Pep Mark, if you inshallah, if you ever get it, then you can transpose that one into the also at 16 good flame into the monocle, and then again, because then you have backups, and then you can risk the boom. So then we always we try to go for items that you can risk the boom, and then that will be just to have that security.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, and shoulder is kind of the same. You can keep this one for some set bonus. You can look at the Ranmaru shoulders and save up a bunch of those, so that you can Star Force pre Abzo and then transfer over. That's probably what you want to do with those. You can get a lot more of those now.
I've got a couple already. So that's why you keep those, is so you can roll into Abzo, right?
Well, so that you don't have to safeguard. Safeguarding on level 160 item just gets expensive very quickly, and just being able to discard and not having to risk it just ends up on average saving you money.
And then you eventually, I'm going to use the wrong word now, transfer
hammer. Yeah.
You got me second guessing myself.
Yeah. The one is the transfer hammer option. The other one is transposing is in Commercy, and that's only 2 Sweetwater items.
Okay, that makes sense. So I don't need any of the other. I've been saving a set or two from
Ranmaru, yeah.
I knew it was for something, and I was like, I'm not sure exactly what this is.
Yeah, so you could use those as the 150 stuff that you transfer in between the Pencilier and the Absol Ablator. So you could do that. There's some ups and downsides. If you use a bunch of the equips, if you get a trace, if you boom it, and then you have to put it on the exact same item again. It has to be the exact specific item. For transfer hammering, it doesn't really mind what class the item is for. It could be a mage hat into your ultimate pirate hat. That doesn't really matter. It just has to be the same type of item. But if you keep a bunch of the sets, you do. Now that's a little bit more luxurious than before, because the drop was way more rare before. But do try to keep all specific of the same set. It doesn't have to be all pirate, but it has to be all of the same class if you keep the equips, so that you don't Star Force and then if it booms, get your 12, get your epic 12-star trace, but then for a different equip that you can't transfer over on the day of, and then you're like, oh, and then you have to start over. It's just mainly a time waste to get back up to 12 stars and get back up to 15.
Gotcha.
It just saves you a bunch of time in the moment. Yeah,
that's definitely something I would have missed and sat around, frustrated Googling.
Yeah, it's why is it not working? Yeah,
2 weeks not getting the one drop I need.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be me.
So that's why before with shoulders, we used to not look at that very much because they were so rare. So you just get any shoulder you can get. And they're the only 150 shoulders in the game, aside for the Commercy shoulder, which you only get one of. For the cape, usually I just saved up Enraged Sakum capes so that you always have the trace. And then for the gloves and the shoes, I usually would buy the Root gloves from the black market with the Magnus coins, and then the Root shoes from Root Abyss shop with the Root Abyss coins, because those you would also not have to keep in your inventory. You could just buy however many you want on the day of, and they're basically in your etc. inventory. So because if you end up saving equips and backups for all of these, your inventory starts getting super cluttered. And I'm already a hoarder, so it was impossible for me to do both of those things at the same time.
I think in one of these photos I snapped my my equip inventory, and it's just embarrassing. All the ridiculous silly things that I don't need that are in there.
I saw some Von Leon stuff, I think. Was it that one?
Oh yeah, there's some Von Leon in there. I just started killing that boss. I wasn't gonna drop those.
Yeah. All the Commercy stuff from the pre-quest, yeah.
Yeah, all the Commercy stuff. Even the alien set, I had that set for a while. Yeah. I wasn't sure what I wanted
Frozen
to run.
stuff. Oh, the Necro gear, you kept all of that?
Necro, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Extra Dominator. The pink bean hat, very important.
Gotta keep that one.
Gotta keep them. Gotta keep at least one of those, yeah. Oh, you do have an extra ring already. Is it a cracked ring?
Let me go back in. I think it is cracked.
Probably, yeah. No T-Boy? It's here, it's here. Here's the T-Boy hat. Don't worry, he still has it.
Close one.
Yeah, saved. Almost lynched by the mob. Saved.
All right, what am I looking for? Galaxy ring. Where are you?
On the right side, kind of like in the middle top half.
How is this that I saw this on your stream and now I can't find it in my actual inventory? I'm sure it's cracked.
Yeah, it was like it's pretty much all the way on the bottom. Second row from the bottom.
Oh, there it is. Why did I put it there? Yeah, it's cracked.
Oh, sometimes just items just are somewhere in your inventory. There's no real reason why they're there.
What was I thinking?
Probably nothing. You probably just threw it somewhere.
100% accurate. There's too much crap in here. It's going there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not rearranging these for the 5th time.
Okay. I think we got everything with that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're working on your Monster Parker badge?
Very slowly, yes, because I'm only doing probably 2 a day, and then Sundays I'll line up for a few more.
Okay.
So I'll have the Sunday one pretty soon, but the rest of them a little slower, and then I can switch over to doing those doubles. Or doing the extra ones on the other days that I don't have.
Right. You're just saving the money, or because you can buy extra coupons, right?
Yeah, with I don't know what they're called now. With the points that you get the reward shop, you can buy extra coupons, right?
And with mesos as well.
Oh, can you?
Yep.
I didn't know you could with mesos.
Yes. If you go into Cash Shop and you go to the convenience tab, they're there as well for 3.5 mil each, and you can buy as many as you want.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
yeah, thanks for that. That's a big help.
Exactly. Yeah, that goes back into the if you can buy them with meso, then maybe don't buy them with reward points. If you need the reward points to buy the totems, right?
Exactly. Now I'm frustrated at how many.
Well, just be happy that you know now and that you can.
I know now.
Yeah.
Let's be positive.
Yeah, stay
I
positive.
appreciate that. Big help.
Reward points are for totems, all caps in the chat. Yeah, I usually still buy them because I make.
Attacked right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. He's trying to learn here, Arena. Okay, don't judge him. All right, he came to learn, and he's learning now.
You want me in the guild, or do I close this tab out?
Remember, you're trying to recruit this guy. Okay. Yeah, so that'll speed your progress, and you'll have way more coins, so you can get better coverage on the coins.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful.
I think that gets us through all the slots of the equips. Yeah, ring up. Well, yeah, as your set starts falling apart with like Superior and this, excuse me, with the Sweetwater stuff, then basically all the ring setup starts disappearing. Everything you have now, except for the kind of treasure, is all going to become like drop rate stuff, and then it's either strong event rings, higher level Galax rings, later on Meistering, that kind of stuff that's going to take their place, but that kind of like comes at its own time.
Yeah. That's what I figured is this is good enough to get me at least I think to where I can kill like Damien solo.
Yeah.
I think that'll get me there.
I think so. Damien Lotus solo, yeah, Lucid Party, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're looking at like 17 star Abzo, 2-line legendary. Flame score is around like 80 or something. 85, 75 to 80 on the CRA, 17 star, 2-line stat. WSE, all 2-line legendary.
Yep.
And then, yeah, the accessories probably like a little bit of a mix and match. Hopefully around 17 star, 2-line legendary, something like that.
Okay.
Yep. We're looking like a year into the future. Maybe.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. Maybe we will. But, you know, there might be some crazy event that just skyrockets you upwards, you know?
Yep, we'll see. I'll take it, one step at a time. Keep improving where I can.
Yep. All right. Yeah, if there's... Did you get through all the questions in your list?
Yeah, that was my big one was... What the heck are these flames and how do they work? So that's going to be very helpful.
Okay. Well, cool. Keep an eye out for Wandroid if we ever get that. Dark Lords of Darkness, if you ever see that, keep an eye out for that. That's for permanent totems that are quite strong.
Way better than these Afterlands trash that I just did last week too.
Afterlands is okay, but Dark Lords, there's RNG in Dark Lords, and if you get unlucky with Dark Lords, then you basically get the same as what you have now, so it's not really an upgrade. But if you get lucky, then they are quite nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Halloween event typically?
Yeah, exactly. But they don't
Okay.
have a set bonus, so that's why they're not as much of an upgrade as you might expect. Yeah, the set bonus for the Afterlands kind of saves them.
Oh yeah.
What other event? Oh yeah, any kind of fairy heart will be nice. Other than that, there's nothing crazy. Yeah, just focus on nodes and arcane symbols. Those dailies, very important.
Oh yeah. Been very helpful having this event, so I can just go in and buy extra ones. Progress faster there.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it was very helpful having this session. Damn.
Oh, it was. It was.
No, I'm just kidding.
Not discounting you.
Just
Yeah, this session was almost good as the event.
almost as
Thanks,
good as the event.
Scardor.
Okay, well I'll take that. I'll take that.
That's a diss. This was great. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
It's been a huge help.
Yeah, do I guess some reading up some homework for the exact details. You can find it in the commands. If you have any problem finding the commands, then exclamation mark commands has the full list. So if you Control F there, you'll probably just see them pop up.
Okay.
Try to make sure that stays up to date, or ask anyone in the chat who's like a VIP or a mod or something. They'll be able to tell you which one it is.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I wish you best of luck.
All right. You as well. Thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you for listening and soaking it all up. It's always nice to have someone who catches on quickly, and now all you got to do is put it into practice and become big dick memer.
That's right.
All right. Well, join the
And
guild.
thanks to the guy who gave up his this was a gift from somebody, and I get it in chat. So I appreciate it. The person
Oh yeah, that's also
gave
true.
it up
Yeah.
for another role.
Yeah, I think it was Ben. Yeah, Ben said he was too busy these days, so he wanted to give away the free session, and you got lucky. Well, someone else got it, and then they were like, "Well, just roll another one."
Right.
Which seems to be the standard practice now. It's almost as bad as whenever I do a poll. People try to make everything like equal amounts, so every time it's like a 50-50 or an even way split on all the options in a poll that I do.
Right.
Yeah. Oh well, it's just one of those
What can
things.
you do?
But yes, yeah, you got lucky there. So hope you get your money's your not your money's worth, but whatever your time's worth.
I got my time's
There you
worth.
go.
Thank
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'll see you around, and I'll see you in chat if there's ever anything else I can help you with.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, and Arino said you can always DM him if you have some shade questions. There you go.
Be prepared, buddy.
Yep. his inbox is gonna get flooded. All right. I'll see you around, and have a good one.
Sounds good. You too.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, amazing. Did you like that, guys? I love that. That was a good-ass session. We were able to clarify some big questions. No glaring oversights. Very good overall progression on this guy. I'm starting to see a lot of stuff back from like a lot of the earlier sessions with people who were completely new. There's so much to work on, and there's like, oh my god, everything is a huge mess. But then, isn't Alien best in slot until Helix? It can be, but you have to mix and match perfectly with the other pieces. It's a little bit of a little bit of a Jenga puzzle, a little bit of a Tetris puzzle to really squeeze Alien in there. You can, but Alien is also level 180, so re-rolling the potential is more expensive. Star Forcing is more expensive. It doesn't have flame advantage. The set bonus is really good, but if you're purely going to be training, then I would advise Alien, yeah. But if you're also going to be bossing in the meantime, you do want that boss damage and the IED from the boss accessory set. I think that's very helpful. So I think this is close enough or pretty much even. So I don't see the need to advise the other one. If someone already has Alien Fragment, I'll work around that, and I won't make them remake that in the same way that if people already have this, I'll keep this and work around this instead. So it's more like a situational thing. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the more I see the sessions growing with people who are already watching the stream more, I see a lot of my great advice is already like seeping into the things, and there's any huge problems. So that's already that's great. So it's good to see that at least I'm giving some good advice already, like through the commands and everything. And usually just like dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So if you like this session, I'm glad. If you thought it was helpful, if there's anything you thought I got wrong or that you maybe disagree with me on or you need a clarification, leave a comment. And if you want one of these sessions, check the description of the video, and you could get one of these sessions with me as well. All right.